Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and today we're going to be talking about the Clover Soft Touch Crochet Hook. And I did bring my Clover Amore size I 5.5 millimeter up here to compare and help along in this demonstration. So this is kind of a review, kind of not a review, but in continuing to talk about supplies and how things work differently for different people, I did want to also review this. This did come as a viewer submission and request for my thoughts and feelings on it. So first off, let me grab some yarn here. The shape on this is a flatter design compared to my preferred Amore hook, where we do have that curved back on this. So when I crochet, try to not bang around on my camera so much, I use more of a pinch, light pinch hold here, like this. So for me, the flat place for my thumb, as well as this rounded surface, as you can see, there is a full slope here. This actually gives me perfect purchase to maintain light tension. I have a little bit more control with my pinky finger. I can rest my other fingers on this hook. So this is why this is my personal preferred hook and hook shape as far as how the handle goes. But this is one of those zones where we're going to talk about personal preference too. This is why this is a personal preference issue for me. This is how I am comfortable holding a hook. For me, this was like Harry Potter and Ollivanders holding his wand for the first time. This is my perfect hook shape. But because this is my perfect hook shape and I like the speed and slip of my Clover Amore so much, this is preference. This is another Clover hook. So we have the same slide to the shaft of the hook here. We have the same hook head. These are the same size hooks. So we are dealing more or less with the same shape here as far as the working part of this. How we hold this is going to be how we hold this and how it's natural for us to hold something. So I personally do believe if you are a pencil grip person, this would actually be a very comfortable way to hold this. This would be a very natural option for you if you are a pencil gripper. This is just a basic acrylic yarn. It's not a particularly slippy yarn or a particularly tight yarn. But I wanted to have something fairly neutral to show you guys the glide of this hook. Once again, we have a nice, easy glide, making our stitches. If you were like me and prefer a slightly more pointed head to get into those stitches, this gives you that. For me, it becomes a lack of splitting and going into the stitches. You don't risk splitting the stitches, especially when you're working with something more like a cotton or a rayon from bamboo yarn, or what's something else that splits a lot? Like the silks can sometimes split a lot. And we have a nice fast hook because this is just gliding against the yarn. The yarn doesn't catch or snag. We have a deep throat on this, or a slightly deeper throat and catch for that hook, which for me is something that I personally prefer, as it means that I can turn my hook more as I'm making my stitches, and I'm not going to lose my yarn from the hook as often, especially once I start getting into a roll with it. I do tend to crochet fairly quickly, and I don't always look at my hands as I'm working. So for me personally, that is another, personal shape preference thing for me. As to the type of hook that I prefer. But as somebody with a modified knife grip, as you can tell, even looking through the camera lens, not really looking at my hands, I am able to freely use this hook. Now, we do have some awkwardness as I'm basically bear hugging a camera stand so I can show you my hands in motion here. So we do have some, slight awkwardness in making the stitches, but even in my rotated modified knife grip, I'm not having an issue with creating the stitches. I'm not having a problem in getting the yarn hung, having it split on the hook head. It's one of the reasons why I do prefer a slightly deeper throat to my hook head, is I don't want to have to constantly recatch things because of the way I spin my hook. My hook is constantly in multiple different directions as I am working. So I do prefer personally to have that deeper hook. But this is our standard, as I've said before, I am definitely looking for quality hooks to share with you guys. And this is definitely a quality hook, even though this is not my most comfortable hook. I can definitely, get up to a good speed here working with this. It's not hindering me from making stitches. It's not stopping me from moving at a speed or direction that I prefer with my modified knife grip. Now, with the pencil grip, which I am not very comfortable with, you have a slightly different motion here, especially as somebody who does not normally crochet this way. It is very comfortable. The roundedness here gives you multiple, if you prefer to hold your hook down or prefer to hold your hook kind of facing you, or I know there are a lot of pencil grippers who also rotate. You have a couple of different ways where you can hold this to get there. Now, one of the things about this hook specifically that I do really like as far as being slightly different is I do enjoy the rubberized pad here. This is a hard plastic handle, but the pad here gives you just a little bit of extra grip. So, for how I crochet, that's perfect because I can use my thumb to stabilize that just a little bit. If you crochet in multiple different ways, they're depending on how your thumb lands on that front side of the hook, that will give you just that little bit of grip there. Now, it does not pad your finger. So, for me, that I don't need that padding quite as much because of the way my fingers wrap around the handle. But if you are holding up here and you are resting that hook on your finger like that, you don't have any extra padding here, to give you grip across that. In my case, it falls, across the cuticle bed and up against that fingernail. So it's definitely one of those, once again, personal preference, because we are talking about a hook that is a high quality hook. You have a nice join. You have a nice hook head here. If this is a hook style that you prefer, but you find this to be a little more chunky and cumbersome for you, this is definitely an option that I can say is quality and will hold up. Most of my size I hooks are more than, I would say at least 5 years old now. And I haven't had any issues with the actual Clover or more slipping out of the handle or getting loose and jiggly on me or falling apart. I'm not having an issue back here with like the end bit tearing off or anything. This is a high quality rubberized grip here. So it's not a problem I have personally experienced. As this is a new to me hook, I've never used one of these. I don't have years on a hook. Most of these have, as this is my most common hook size, most of these have, well over probably 1,000 hours on them of crocheting over the years. But this is brand new. I don't imagine you will have any issues with the handle and the hook coming apart or becoming loose just based on prior experience of working with Clover hooks. So, this is definitely one of those preference. And I do think, like, if you hold way back here for some reason, if you're one of those people who hold way far away from your work, this is also a comfortable place to grip this with the dual taper there on the hook. So yeah, overall, it's a high quality hook. It's not, once again, my personal hook. This is not the hook that's going to be my tried and true. I will definitely put this in the bin where I keep my more hooks, though, as I do like this hook. It is comfortable for me to use. This is probably slightly more comfortable for me than some of the other ones that I have tried. So overall, once again, we're dealing with an A quality product. It's just personal preference. Again, I would like to remind you of my personal suggestion is, as you are looking for your hook, the hook that is your magic hook, that is your perfect hook, your dream hook, that perfectly fits in the shape of your hand and the way you hold it. Purchase the hook in your most used size, which once again for me is an I 5.5 millimeter, and spend some time with just the one hook before trying to invest in a set of hooks. When it comes to your tools that are things that you are going to use for years, I do recommend investing in quality tools. So if this is your shape and you want to try this, don't be afraid to splurge and purchase. If this ends up being your hook, you're just like, oh, the first time it's in your hand, this is magical, this is fantastic. Don't let the cost be prohibitive to your comfort as a crocheter. Keeping your hands healthy, we can do things like, our stretches and things, and keeping our hands mobile and moving, setting our work down and taking a break are all wonderful things to do. But if our tools are creating issues for us and making it harder for us to do what we want to do with our crafting time, eh, save up and make the investment. This is the place where you really need to focus on long-term investment versus short-term gain, in a lot of ways. There are a lot of places where, when it comes to yarn, I love using acrylic yarn. You don't have to have, an alpaca merino silk blend to create beautiful items. You can purchase on sale and you can purchase, more budget friendly yarns and still create amazing products at the end of the day. But when it comes to your tools, like your knitting needles, your crochet hooks, things like that, having the tool that fits best in your hand is ergonomic for you. You don't have to purchase a full set at once. You can purchase as needed. purchase on sale, purchase with a coupon, but this is the place where you do want to make your financial investment up front. So once you've obtained your basics and you know you want to stick with it, and you're wanting to spend longer periods of quality time with your yarn projects, this is the place, and particularly for crochet, where it is very important to spend your money wisely and purchase quality items, because my first set of Clover Amours I still use to this day. I have purchased extras, as things get stuck in projects and things like that. I have purchased extras of my most used hook sizes as they come on sale, but my primary first purchase was the full set, and I still use those now 12 years later. So this is something that will be with you for a long time, assuming, your cat or your dog or your rabbit don't get a hold of these and tear them up, or a child, sit on them and snap them. Um, so this is the place where I would say it is worth making an investment purchase to have a comfortable time with your craft time. But do try your primary most used size and work with it as you have a good baseline of comparison to see how you feel about it. Does that am I making sense, or am I just kind of babbling on here? Anyway, we have another, a quality hook, and it is a nice fast head. It's the same fast head that I am used to. If you do prefer something a little bit slower, I would recommend looking at the Knit Pro crochet hooks. They are a little bit slower. So if you do not want a fast hook head, a fast movement on the shaft as you're crocheting, um, I would look to the Knit Pro. But if you were like me, where you prefer something a little bit slicker, a little bit faster, uh, the Clover Soft Touch is just as fast as the Clover Amour, but it does have a distinctly different shape. So as you're trying to find your hook, those are just kind of some key points to keep in mind there. So we have a nice shape, nice head, pros to the grip. I would prefer the whole thing were maybe a firmer this is a very soft, you can tell at the end here, soft rubberized coating. Maybe something that had a little bit more texture on the handle would maybe suit me a little bit more. But like I said, having that pad there for how I hold the hook does give me just enough tension. But definitely a hook worth trying if you're still on the hunt for your dream crochet hook. But I can definitely tell you the Clover hooks are phenomenal in my opinion. So I love you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful, fantastic day. I look forward to seeing you real soon. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. I do try to get back with most of the comments within a week or so. So I love you. Take care.